Hi, welcome to Refresh with Kellyanne, where we refresh the mind, body, and spirit using the power of movement and breath. Today, I'm going to go through this Yin Yoga flow. If you check out down below, you'll find the links where I actually go through each pose and explain modifications and possible options. If you find that the postures don't work exactly the way you want them to for you, there's lots of different modifications with props. Anyway, that video is linked down below. So today I'm just going to run through the sequence the way I would run through it for myself. On any given day, I'm going to use different props based on just how I feel and my understanding of my body and the sequence that I chose and the props. So typically this is going to be a beginner flow. In Yin Yoga, when you're a beginner, you tend to do the poses for 3 to 5 minutes. And as you progress in the practice, we tend to do slightly less postures for longer periods of time. And it doesn't mean necessarily that you're going to go deeper into the pose, but more on that later on in this whole Yin Yoga series. So today we're just going to go through this really basic Yin Yoga flow. This is appropriate for beginners. Please be cautious. Again, in Yin Yoga, we want to feel a broad sensation, a sensation through a broad area of tissue. So we want to feel sensation across large areas of tissue rather than feeling single-pointed sensations. Any single-pointed sensations, like sensations that go to a specific area, and there's an intense sensation in one area, that tends to mean that we're going too far, and we should back away from the pose. Also, it's important to remember that when we practice Yin Yoga, we're going to go into the posture and we're going to feel it out. First, you're going to go to your maximum or end range of motion comfortably, and then you're going to pull away from your maximum to around 70% of your maximum range of motion, because we're going to remain in the posture for a period of time. So today, the first posture we're going to practice is child's pose. So typically, we're going to do a short meditation or centering exercise before we begin. And when I start the practice with child's pose, a child's pose is the opportunity to have that centering. So we're going to go into child's pose for 3 minutes. Again, if this doesn't feel right for you, you can check out my video linked below so you can find modifications for yourself. Right now I'm preparing one of my modifications. And so we will do child's pose for 3 minutes. When we come into child's pose, I want you to breathe very slow and steady, and exhale slowly. So the feet behind you sit back towards the heels, the knees spread apart. Bring the hands out in front of you and slowly lower down, taking deep breaths. And so in the child's pose, inhaling and exhaling slowly. Ideally, we don't readjust too much when we're in the Yin Yoga poses. We try to stay as still as we can. We're about halfway through the time. So feel free to slightly increase or slightly decrease the pose, depending on how you feel. Take a big deep inhale, hold the breath at the top, and then slowly exhale, making that exhale really long and slow. Slowly using the strength of the arms, bring the arms towards the hips. Use the strength of the arms to press up. You can keep your eyes closed if that's appropriate for you. You can open your eyes for the next setup. So we're going to go straight into a wide-legged forward fold. Again, you can adapt this pose to suit you and your needs and preferences. We're going to have a seat, take the legs out wide, and then here it's important to make sure that the pelvis is straight up and down or coming forward. Again, you can check out the modifications video if you need more information on adjusting this pose to work for you. In Yin Yoga, we do not have to flex the feet like we would do in a hatha or active or vinyasa yoga practice. We're going to be here for a while. Again, you want to dial down your pose. So just because I can do a much bigger wide-legged forward fold doesn't mean that that's going to be appropriate for me. I'm going to do the wide-legged forward fold to the point that I feel a comfortable stretch. It doesn't have to be an intense stretch. And then I'm going to adjust my hips. I can pull the upper body upwards and then try to press my hip back and then do the opposite side. And now my pelvis is coming almost forward. And that is really an ideal position for the wide-legged forward fold. We're slowly going to come forward, take a big inhale, reach upwards through the crown of the head, and then come forward from the hips to your own degree. Now here, it depends on your spine, but essentially, if it feels good to allow the spine to round deeply, then maybe that's what's going to work for you. If you have any back injuries, especially injuries that you should avoid compression, you probably don't want to bend forward like that. So for me, it's more appropriate in these forward folding poses to try to keep the spine straight most of the time. And so some students will keep the hands out. Some students will bend the elbows. And so close the eyes and bring your awareness inward to your breath. Slow the breath right down. So bring your awareness to your breath. If it's wandered off, just relax. You can leave the thoughts for when you're done with the practice. Also, it's normal for the limbs to move. At this point, check in with the body. If you've gone too far in the pose, it might be a good time to back off a little bit. And then likewise, if you feel a lot of space, then maybe you come a little bit deeper. But take your time. Breathe slowly. Big inhales. And then the exhale, very slow and long. Alright, it's almost time to come out of the pose. Take a big inhale, bring the palms down if they aren't already down. Use the strength of the arms. Keep the back body that you just stretched relaxed. So we want to try to keep those muscles right now as relaxed as possible. We're going to come into the rest pose or Shavasana. I like to use my hands to help bend the knees. And then I bring the legs together. Move the body off of the prop if you're sitting on something. Get it out of your way. Use the strength of the arms. Tuck the chin to protect the neck. Come slowly down. And then we'll come into a rest pose for about 5 deep breaths. So for most of us, that's going to be about a minute. So the feet are a bit wider than hip distance apart. The arms are 6 inches or a little bit more away from the body. Shoulders nice and comfortable. Big inhales. Slow exhales. And one more big breath cycle. Inhale until you're comfortably full, and then slowly exhale. Now we're going to bend the knees and place the soles of the feet on the ground, comfortably away from the hips, so that's going to be different for everyone. I like to pick up the hips and then tilt the pelvis so that the majority of my low back, or all of my low back, is making contact with the mat. And then I'm flipping my palms around, so my palms are facing down now. I'm going to imagine that I have a block between the thighs and squeeze my imaginary block. Squeeze the pelvic floor, squeeze the belly, and then lift everything up. with everything activated and squeezing, pressing down through the big toe, lifting the arches of the feet, and now moving the pelvis toward the heels, slowly lowering down. We're going to do that again. So activate thighs, pelvic floor, squeeze the belly, lift. I like to exhale when I lift. And then bring the pelvis towards the heels, lengthening the spine very slowly and thoughtfully, lowering down. Now you're going to do one more and hold. So squeeze the thighs as if you had an imaginary block. Squeeze the pelvic floor. Squeeze the belly. Pull the navel in. Lift up. Knees, hips, shoulders in one line. Squeezing gently. So again, you should be able to breathe steady. If it's not steady, you're going too far, you're doing too much effort. Take it back a notch, and then reaching the hips towards the heels, slowly lower down. And then just take a moment. You're going to roll to the side and then press up to seated. So that's called a fireman's roll. And this is actually a really nice way to get out of bed in the morning, or just generally get off of the floor, or a laying down position. So you roll to the side, and then you use the top arm pressing down and the bottom elbow, and then gently lift yourself up. So now I'm going to set up for my next pose. The next posture I'm going to practice is a reclined butterfly. It's very easy. For my butterfly today, I'm going to use a bolster. And I'm going to use a blanket. Again, in the modifications video, there's tons of explanations of the different modifications you can do on any given day for all of these different poses. So for butterfly pose, I'm going to bring my heels together out in front of me. I want to do a bit more of a relaxed butterfly, so not so intense on the groin. So I'm having my feet a little further away from the hips. You don't have to bring the heels all the way in towards the hips to make this pose comfortable. Always use support for the thighs if you're going to be in this pose longer than a minute. So I'm going to use my blocks here. And then I tend to get cold when I practice, so I'm just going to throw a blanket over me. So hopefully by now you've got most of your pose set up like I do. I'm going to go ahead and set my timer. I love my watch. It doesn't make noise. And in this case, I can actually set a timer for the 3 minutes, and then it will just vibrate at the 3-minute mark. And that's how I know it's time to get out of the pose. To get in the pose, it's just like laying in the rest pose. I place my hands back, and I use the strength of my arms for support. I tuck the chin to protect the neck, and then I slowly lower my head. And I'm going to get very comfortable, and then place the arms out to the sides. Now, if your elbows are dangling and not touching the floor, you should put something between your elbow and the floor so the body can rest comfortably. Now, coming inward, close your eyes and bring your awareness to your breath. You could also use an eye pillow for these poses. I like to imagine in butterfly pose the body relaxing from the middle of the body out to the sides. Take a big inhale. Relax the brow. Relax all the muscles of the face, all the muscles surrounding the jaw. Slow down the breath. Take a big, slow inhale. And then, using the strength of the arms, listen carefully. Try to press your chest upwards as you lift up. So we're keeping that back bend. Use the strength of the arms to press upward. And then get the props out of your way. Again, you can keep the eyes open or closed. It just entirely depends on how you feel most comfortable. You can use the strength of the arms to press the thighs together and then lengthen the legs forward. And come into your rest pose. Again, feet hip distance or slightly wider apart. Make sure the shoulders are comfortable. Take the arms out to the sides, palms are up. And then bring the awareness to your breath. Take deep breaths. Relax all the muscles of the face and jaw. Take a big inhale. Hold the breath at the top. And then slowly exhale. And so we did our pose, which was reclined butterfly, and now we did our rest pose, and now we're going to do what we tend to call the rebound pose. So you're going to bend the knees and place the feet about hip distance or wider apart. The taller you are, the wider your feet need to go. And then you're going to take the knees side to side. So the longer your femurs are, that's your thigh bone, the longer your femurs are, the further apart your feet have to be. Because the goal of the windshield wiper is to move the thigh bone. Ooh, that was my thigh. It's to move the thigh bone in the hip socket. And the idea is that we've stretched these tissues and we've put them under tension. And the sheets of tissue, there's tension between them. So we pull them tight, and then when we release them, some of those sheets of tissue, they separate. So when the sheets of tissue stick together, that's when we get these adhesions, and it can limit our range of motion. So we're just trying to move the bones around and help readjust all that tissue. And then hopefully the body, the muscles and the bones will come to a better resting state. So now we're going to move into our next pose. which is on the ground. How exciting. So you're going to lengthen your feet. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take both feet as far to the right as we can comfortably. So you're just going to walk your heels to the right, and I have these props in my way, so I'm just going to sort of press on them, which will actually benefit me in just a second. So you take your feet all the way to the right to where the ankles can still be really close together, and you're making this a sort of C shape with the body, right? So depending on, your shoulder mobility and anything going on in the shoulder and neck, it's optional to take the arms upward. And then you can even move the rib cage to the right to exaggerate or increase that sort of C shape. So once again, I have props in my way here. So I take the arms upward, and I'm taking the right arm in the left hand to sort of help steady it. And this is called banana pose because you make your body look like a big banana. So take a really nice long deep breath. And what we're going to do is, it depends on the student, but we're going to cross one ankle over the other. So most students, right, if you took your ankles to the right, most students are going to cross the left ankle over the right, and that's going to produce a slightly bigger stretch in that outer hip, and that is the primary area that we are targeting in this stretch. But some students are going to feel this all the way from the pinky toe all the way up to the pinky finger. It just depends. Now, some students will place the opposite ankle over. So you'll just have to find what's comfortable for you. We are over a minute into the pose now. Slowly bring your awareness to your breath. And then inhale mindfully, slowly. And very slowly exhale. The breath should be thick, slow, and steady. Take a big inhale, hold it briefly at the top, and then very slowly and mindfully sigh it out, part the lips, and then come back to normal breath. In a moment, we're going to move out of the pose, so you don't want to do this suddenly. In Yin Yoga, we really want to take it very easy on the body and slow it down. Slowly uncross the feet, take your time. Gradually come out of the C shape until the body is long. So ankles, hips, shoulders in one line. And then if you feel a lot of compression on one of the sides of the back, you could bring the knees in towards the chest. Some students will like to move side to side slowly or at a rhythmic pace, and I find it helps me lengthen the spine. And don't be alarmed, it's normal for one side to feel quite different than the other because we were compressing one side and lengthening the opposite side. So now we're going to lengthen the right side. So bring the legs down and then take the heels this time to the left as far as they'll comfortably go. You're going to take the right ankle over the left ankle for most students. Bring the arms overhead. Just setting my timer here. It can be distracting to set the timers, but otherwise I don't get even lengths of time on each side. So taking that right arm overhead, if that worked for you, on the opposite side, and again being mindful of the shoulder and neck here. Maybe take the rib cage slightly to the left as well to exaggerate or increase that big C shape or banana shape. And now relax as deeply as you can. So in Yin Yoga, it's release, it's relaxation. How deeply can you relax? Inhale, take a big deep breath slowly. Feel the ribcage expand as you fill your lungs with air. Stop at the top and slowly exhale, feeling the space, and then come back to regular breathing cycles. Relaxing all the muscles of the face, muscles of the brow, muscles surrounding the eyes, muscles surrounding the mouth, muscles around the jaw. Relaxing. Bring your awareness to your breath. Take a big inhale, mindfully coming out of the pose. And then bringing the knees in one at a time. Take your time. And then maybe rocking side to side. I like to reach my hips away from my shoulders when I do this. And it feels like it's lengthening my spine. And just bringing the thighs into your comfort level. Some students like to have the hands on the actual back of the thighs rather than on the shins or calves. And then take a deep inhale. And you're going to keep the left thigh in and then lengthen the right leg down. And you're just going to take the left thigh across the body. And now some students will enjoy placing a prop here to support the knee. So we're going to be here for 3 minutes. This is the last pose in this sequence. Of course, we have to do both sides. So the left thigh moves across the body to the right. I like to get a little extra twist in the chest here. And then the left arm can go out to the left. It can go up by the left ear. And some students like to place it on the ground or draped over the body. So it's what is most comfortable for your shoulder, and that might change day to day. And then where the head position is, it just entirely depends on the student. I have a lot going on with my neck, so lately I tend to just look upwards, or I look towards the same side as the twist. But I don't twist my neck further into the twist most days. Bring your awareness to your breath. Inhaling slowly. Exhaling slowly. Relax all the muscles of the face, muscles of the neck. Relax the shoulders. Follow that relaxation down the torso, the lower back. Relax the hips. Relax the legs. Take a deep inhale, and then as you exhale, bring your arm in. Very slowly come back to center. And we're going to come into a rest pose now. So come into Shavasana. The feet are about hip distance or wider apart. Arms out to the sides, palms up. Adjust the shoulders so you're comfortable. Adjust the neck so you're comfortable. And then breathe. One more deep breath cycle. And then we're going to bring the knees in towards the chest. And now listen carefully. We're going to make circles with the legs. So you're going to put your left hand on your left knee and your right hand on your right knee. Take the knees out to the sides. Press them away from you. Bring them back in towards the middle and then back towards the body. So we make circles. In, out, up, and then inward again. So you're going to do 3 to 5 circles. Next time that you bring the thighs or the knees in towards the body, now press the thighs away from you, out to the side, and then back in towards the body, away from you, out to the sides, and then back in. Again, 3 to 5 cycles. Next time the knees are in towards the chest, you're going to keep the right knee in, left leg out, and then come into a simple twist. And again, we're going to be here for 3 minutes. Maybe you want a prop. And come into the pose and take nice deep breaths. Bring your awareness back to your breath. Slowly come out of the pose. Take your time. Get any props out of your way. Come into your rest pose. And then this time we're actually going to slowly bring those knees back in. And we're going to rotate the thigh bones like we did last time. Left hand on the left knee, right hand on the right knee. Knees are in towards the chest, out to the sides. Press them away and then back in towards the center line. So making these circles. Three to 5 in one direction, and then switch directions. Next time the knees come in, press them away from the chest, out to the sides, and then back in towards the middle of the chest. Press them out. And keep breathing while you do this. 3 to 5 circles. and then come into Shavasana or rest pose. So depending on how you're feeling, maybe you want to stop the video and stay in this pose for 5 to 10 minutes. Maybe you're feeling a little more active, in which case stay with me. So at the end of the practice, you want to bring awareness to the body, all the different areas of the body. And just stay in stillness and bring awareness to that space that you created in the practice. Space for yourself, space for your thoughts, space for your body. Bend the knees, bring the thighs in. Roll, ideally to the right, unless you're pregnant, in which case it's to the left. And stay on your side. You can use the bottom arm as a pillow or your props. And we're just transitioning from the floor to seated. So coming up to seated, using the top hand to press, taking the top leg out, and coming up to a seated posture. This is going to conclude this Yin Yoga practice for today. I'm so happy that you joined me. I hope that this practice was beneficial to you. Please leave me a comment and tell me what you thought. I hope you have a great day. Thank you so much. Please like, share, and subscribe.